So before you establish business credit, and this is going to sound like extremely simple, but you need to have a registered business. You cannot build business credit as a sole proprietor because essentially they're looking at you like you're a glorified side hustle. So one of the very first things you need to have a registered business, whether it's an LLC, S corp, whatever you choose, whatever entity you choose, you need to have a registered business. One of the other things, and this is major, a lot of people don't know this and they don't do it. Your business needs to have a structured business profile. So your business needs to have its own email address, not a Gmail, not a Yahoo, not an Outlook. It needs to have a domain email, which would be, let's say, Devyn at businesscredit.com.
You're listening to the Black to Business Podcast, an educational podcast providing Black entrepreneurs with the tools and resources to start and grow their businesses. We chat with vetted Black entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and business owners as they provide tips and resources to help take your business to the next level. I'm your host, Business credit is a topic that has really been very popular lately. And it's also a topic that many of you have expressed that you're interested in learning more about. So we wanted to make sure that you're equipped with the best information if you decide that this is the best route for your business. We've invited just the right person to talk about this very topic today, and her name is Devyn Clayter, and also she's a business credit coach. The wonderful thing about Devyn is that she's a credit expert that actually specializes in helping entrepreneurs secure credit for their business. In addition to this, Devyn is very passionate about educating the Black community on how to leverage business credit to make money. And you know we are all about education. So during this conversation, Devyn is really breaking down business credit so simply that even a fifth grader could understand. So you'll definitely want to take some notes. And we're going to dive into how to actually establish business credit, how to build business credit, and how to make sure that your business is properly structured to receive business credit. And Devyn's also going to explain all the fancy business jargon and terms you hear all over the internet and from your favorite gurus. So let's dive in. So Devyn, welcome to the Black to Business Podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course, and I always I always say this, today is an exciting topic because this is a topic a lot of people have been asking us about. We're going to get into it, but I'm excited that you agreed to be on the show. And I want to first start by, if you could introduce yourself, just let my audience members know who you are, what is it that you do in your business, and how did you get where you are today?
Sure. So my name is Devyn, affectionately known as Business Credit Devyn. And what I do is I teach entrepreneurs the importance of building business credit and also leveraging business credit, using business credit to grow and scale their businesses. So how I got into the field was I've always been in corporate America, like as a business analyst or something in the corporate realm. And one day I was just sitting at a table with VIPs and they just started talking about business credit. This was like 10 years ago. And I'm like, well, what's business credit? And they all just looked at me crazy. And I was like, okay, so I got to learn this stuff.
Right. And okay, amazing. And that is exactly what we were talking about today is business credit. And I always like to start from the basics. If you could define, getting it down to even if a fifth grader could understand, what is business credit? First start there.
Yeah. So we all know what personal credit is, and it's the same thing. It's just for your business. So the same way we work hard to keep our personal credit clean. We work hard to get a good score because we know it's going to help us in the future. If we want to buy a house or we want to get a car, we know we have to have a good business credit or we have to have a good personal credit score and, a good FICO score. So the same with your business. It's credit for your business. It's going to allow your business to get funding, lines of credit, business loans, business credit cards, even retail cards. So it's the same thing as personal credit. It's for your business. So anyone who has a business should be diligently working on their business credit the same way they work on their personal credit.
Awesome. And I know you mentioned a few, but if you could list the key benefits, some of the key benefits of business credit.
Mm-hmm. So one of the biggest benefits, it allows you to scale. So many businesses fail, especially in our community. When you look at minority-owned businesses, we fail because we don't have the working capital. We don't have the startup funds. But if you were to build business credit from the beginning, those are funds that you have there set aside for your business. Those are funds that are going to allow your business to scale and grow, whether it's investing in marketing, advertising, hiring staff, anything that your business would need to grow. That's what business credit is for. It's to help your business grow, scale, and even invest. You can take business credit and invest. You can invest in, Airbnbs, real estate, trucking, any industry that you can think of. Business credit can be used for that.
Yes, certainly. And I know you mentioned that it is important for entrepreneurs, of course, to have business credit. And what would you say if you had to say, because I asked this question, one, who needs business credit? Now, would you say every business owner needs business credit? So let's start there.
Mm-hmm. So, and this is my personal opinion. Every business should have business credit. If you have multiple businesses, you should be building business credit. It would be smart to build business credit for every single business that you have, because all you're doing is opening up, you're opening up your businesses to more funding. So you might have a trucking business and you might own a hair salon. You don't have to cross mingle funds and say, okay, I have this loan, so I need to split it between these two businesses. Now, you've built business credit for each of those. So now they each have their own business credit file. They have their own opportunities for funding.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
And what is it? You also mentioned before investing, the benefits of business credit, building your business credit is investing, of course. Would you say what other ways, you would say business credit is used for?
So I would say a lot of my clients use business credit to start a business. So let's say they already have a business and they're like, okay, cool. I built my business credit up. I qualify for $50,000 in funding. I'm going to use $10,000 for the business I already have, and then I'm going to use the rest to start this new business. So it can be used to start a business also. Start a business, grow a business, but the benefits are unlimited. The benefits are you're not using your own money. You're using other people's money and you're paying it back over time. So if you're taking a risk, and every business essentially is taking a risk, you're not using your own money to take that risk. You have some cushion there because you're not diving in head first using your savings account.
Yeah.
So it gives you some cushion.
And then I know you mentioned earlier when you first talked about like what business credit is, it's like your personal credit, but for your business. How would you say your personal credit, if so, can affect your business credit?
So your personal credit can affect your business credit if you plan to do a personal guarantee. And what that is, all that means is that your personal credit is good, so you're going to use that as leverage to get approved for these loans and lines of credit. So if I have a 720 FICO score, I can use that as leverage to get business credit. I'm allowing them to pull my personal credit to approve me for an Amex card or for a Chase card. So that's one of the ways that it can affect business credit if you choose to go that route and say, hey, you know what? I have good personal credit, so I don't mind personally guaranteeing this. I don't mind using my personal credit to guarantee me this loan on the business side, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Got it. And then what are your thoughts now on loans and those who are opposed to loans?
So those who are opposed to loans, and I'm glad you asked me that, because there are so many people who are like, well, it's still a loan at the end of the day, and I have to pay it back. So anytime, I always let them know, like the wealthiest people in America have gotten there by using other people's money. None of them got where they are today by using their own money. So when you think of loans, you're never using the entire loan. If I have a loan for $100,000, I'm not using that entire loan. I'm setting aside a percentage to start paying that loan back. The rest I'll invest. So you're still paying it back over time. And the key is to get a good interest rate. So when you build business credit, you build a good business credit score, you get a good interest rate. So those who are opposed to loans, I would say loans are not a bad thing if you're utilizing it correctly and the way it should be. And I don't mean getting a loan and just blowing it and now it's like, okay, how do I pay it back? So no, we never do that.
Yeah.
It's using it correctly.
And Devyn, I'm so glad that you mentioned that because we just had someone on the podcast who said the exact same thing,
Mhm.
Darnell. And he mentioned similar to what you were saying, that you said to get a loan, but then also set aside a percentage of that to pay back that use to pay back that loan.
Mhm.
So if I'm correctly, and I want to just make it clear for people who are listening, essentially taking out more than you need.
Right.
Mm,
Right. Right.
yeah,
And we do it a lot. We do it because we're like, oh, we got this. I got approved for this. So let me just go spend it all. No, 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 no,
right.
no.
No, no, no. And one of the things I love about what you are doing is one that you're very niche specific, but then also you focus on educating people and just showing, like you mentioned before, other people using other people's money as leverage to build wealth in our own community. I think that is so important.
Yeah.
That message is so important. Um, Talk about why do you feel that that's so important, and what do you see some of the things within our community that some of the obstacles that we face because we don't think like that? For some of us, not all.
Yeah. So I started out really, really gearing towards teaching because I saw there was a big gap there. There was a
Mm-hmm.
big gap in first knowing what business credit is and then knowing how to utilize it. How can I use this as leverage? Okay, so now you taught me what business credit is, but what do I do with it? So there's a big gap in our community where we're kind of taught to save, 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 get a 401k. You want to start a business, you got to save up. When really credit is for, the other half are taught differently. They're taught to use credit. They're taught to get as much credit as they possibly can. Even when it comes to personal credit, we'll get credit cards and we won't really use them. But one of the tricks to getting more credit is using what you already have. So there's such a gap. And I truly believe that the wealth gap just comes from lack of knowledge in credit and finances, period. We lack that knowledge. And that's why I love what I do, because every single day, I'm teaching someone something new. And there's still a big gap. There's still work to be done because the percentage of business owners who know nothing about business credit is astounding.
I can
Yeah.
imagine. Yeah. Love that. And speaking of, so we've gotten the basics of understanding what business credit is, the benefits, and all of those things. I want to go into establishing actual business credit. So
Mhm.
what are some of the key things to know before actually establishing business credit?
So before you establish business credit, and this is going to sound like extremely simple, but you need to have a registered business. You cannot build business credit as a sole proprietor because essentially they're looking at you like you're a glorified side hustle. So one of the very first things you need to have a registered business, whether it's an LLC, S corp, whatever you choose, whatever entity you choose, you need to have a registered business. One of the other things, and this is major, a lot of people don't know this and they don't do it. Your business needs to have a structured business profile. So your business needs to have its own email address, not a Gmail, not a Yahoo, not an Outlook. It needs to have a domain email, which would be, let's say, Devyn at businesscredit.com. So you need to have a domain email for your business, and you need to have a designated business telephone number. It shouldn't be going to your cell phone. If you really want to build that credibility, I would get an 800 number because it looks much better. You also want to list your business in as many places as possible, starting with the 411 directory. So these are just underwriting requirements. These are things that they're not going to tell you, but this is what they're looking at first. The very first thing that a lender is going to do is he's going to check to see if you have an internet presence. When I type your business into Google, what comes up? When I check the directory, are you listed there? All of these things go into building credibility for your business, and credibility means funding. So those are what you want to start with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm so glad that you mentioned that because I was looking at one of your other, doing my research,
Mm-hmm.
and you also mentioned that this is some of the things that disqualifies people before they even get in the gate is not looking
Mm-hmm.
at some of these things. And also one of the things I know that you have mentioned on other places is the fact that more people, like you mentioned before, you're very passionate about educating. More people are becoming aware of this. And so eventually, it's becoming harder. So
Yeah.
I want you to kind of like dive into that, because I was like, yes, I totally get what
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, so we all know once too many people, once the masses catches on, the rules change.
Mm-hmm.
That even goes with Airbnb. So now in most states they're making you get these, these licenses and they're charging outrageous prices. Like, Philadelphia, I'm close to Philadelphia, $7,000 now, to get a license to operate an Airbnb, which last year, 2 years ago, that wasn't even heard of or thought of.
Mm-hmm.
So when the masses find things out and it starts to circulate and it circulates through social media, they're going to start cracking down. They're cracking down on the virtual addresses. Now they want you to have a physical location. So now they're like, you got to try to find ways to maneuver and pivot. And this is why I stress the importance of not waiting and building business credit now, because it's only going to get harder for you to go get that car through your business and go get that short-term rental and go get that line of credit. It's only getting harder. So the longer you wait, the more rules that you're going to have to play by. And it is an unfair advantage because people have been doing this for years. Business credit isn't, it isn't anything new. People have been structuring, building multiple LLCs at a time. And I mean hundreds, and just sitting there and letting them age, not really doing anything with them. The sole purpose of them having all of these LLCs are just for funding purposes, just so they can go get a loan or line of credit. So it's very important to start the process. Even if you have an LLC and you're like, I don't really know what I'm going to do with it. I'm not really wanting to start this business right now. Register that LLC anyway. Mm-hmm. Let it sit, let it age, but do it now because the rules are changing and they're changing quick.
Yep, certainly. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I was like, I definitely got to get her to dive into that because I definitely agree. So those who are listening, we're going to make sure you're equipped. We have Devyn here giving us all of the tips.
Yeah.
So moving on into some ways to actually establish business credit. So if you could just talk about, some of the terms that people hear, like, the DUNS number, and specify what that is and how it actually works.
Yeah. So your Duns and Bradstreet, it's pretty much a social security number for your business. So if you look at your children, we have social security numbers. That is for your business. That is how your business credit attaches to your business. That is how lenders find out your revenue, how many employees do you have. When extending you credit, they're looking at your Duns and Bradstreet profile. So when someone says a Duns number, that's what they're talking about. This is another thing. This should be another one of your first steps after registering your business as an LLC or an S corp. You want to get your DUNS number. You want to go to dnb.com and get your DUNS number, because if you try to start building business credit without having that number, nothing is attaching to your file. So when the lenders go to look at your DUNS profile, they see nothing. They don't see these accounts that you've had for years and you've been paying on. They don't see any of that. So you definitely want to get your DUNS number. It's essential. It's your business's identity.
Love it. And I think you mentioned before some of the ways to put the business on the map and making it legit. Any more things you want to add there?
Yes. Another thing that's important that we kind of skip over, and I see a lot of hairstylists and things like that, they skip over this. They may have a booking site, but they don't have a website or a landing page. This is another underwriting requirement. And you don't have to go out and get like a fancy 10-page website. You can get a 1-page landing page that has the name of your business email address, your business telephone, and your hours of operation. So, where some of us are service-based, we work 24/7, we may work when we want to, but it's still important just to have a standard set of hours on your website. So that's another thing that's very important that people kind of skip over, and they're like, oh, well, I have a booking site. No, you need an actual website. You also want to have an internet presence, and an internet presence is very easy to build right now with social media. If you have a Facebook page, you have an internet presence. If you have Instagram. So, there's some people that are like, I don't get on Facebook, but Facebook will push your business to the top. So you really want to have a Facebook page, a Facebook group, something, Instagram. Even if you're not using Twitter or Pinterest that much, you want to, you want to position yourself in as many places as possible, because this is making you a competitor when it comes to being credible and when it comes to getting funding.
Certainly. And another term we hear a lot of is understanding the net 30 terms. Can you touch on what this means and how do these accounts work? Such as vendor reporting, etc.
Yeah, so we'll hear it all the time, net 30 accounts, which are just vendor accounts. So these are starter accounts when you start to build business credit from scratch. What net 30 just means is that you have 30 days to pay off that order. So you may order printer paper, you may order office supplies. They're extending you 30 days to pay that off. So what I always say is you want to, when you first start out, you want at least 3 to 4. You can only generate a business credit score, which is a paydex score with Duns and Bradstreet. You will not generate a score unless you have at least 3 vendor accounts. So you want to have at least 3. You also want to make sure that you pay it at least 10 days early, no matter what. So even though it says net 30 terms, you want to put in your mind net 20, because you're going to pay off that order 10 days early. Then you're going to let those 3 vendor accounts report. And once they report, you have an 80 paydex score, because the way that business credit works, the earlier you pay, the higher your score is. So you're paying it back 10 days early. So you've already put yourself in the position to get an excellent business credit score.
Lovely. Devyn, you are bringing it.
Thank you. I gotta let my people know.
Let the people know. Listen, we have gone through the basics. She's taking us through the basics. Understanding again what business credit is. Now we've established business credit, and then even mentioning some of the things that you need to know before even thinking about establishing business credit. And now we want to move into building actual business credit. So, what are some key tips that you would say for one to build their business credit? If you could touch on obtaining like business cards, etc. Key recommendations.
Yes. So one of the very important things is to, while you're in the building phase, make sure that the accounts that you're getting report to the business credit bureaus. A lot of major cards like Amex, even Navy Federal, they don't report to the business credit bureaus. So you might want an Amex card just to have it. A lot of us just want an Amex card. But if you're in that building phase, you want to make sure that you're specifically getting cards that report. So a lot of cards that report are retail cards. Amazon offers a couple different lines of credit, a net 55 that they report. Let's see, who else? Best Buy. There are a lot of retail cards, a lot of gas cards. They report. So you always want to make sure that before you get any accounts, you want to talk to them, email them, read the FAQs on the website. Make sure that they report to the Business Credit Bureau, or else it's not really going to help you in building business credit. Another key factor, like I said, you always want to pay the accounts 10 days early, and you want to start with at least 3, a minimum of 3. One more thing that I really want to touch on is it matters the day of the week when you place your order. So a lot of people don't know this. This is a gem that I'm giving.
Okay.
When you have those net 30 accounts, you always want to place your order on a Thursday. It is the way that they generate payments and the way that they report to the business credit bureaus. Always place your orders on a Thursday. This is going to allow you to generate a score within a couple of weeks versus a couple of months.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Welcome.
And so I thought this was the perfect time to use generated questions from our audience. We have a question submitted from Josephine. She is of JJ Treats, and she asks, which business cards can you apply for without attaching your social security number after giving your LLC? For example, BP gas card, Sam's card, and Floor and Decor.
So actually, all of the cards that she named, she can obtain without using her social security number. But one of the tricks is when you're filling out that application, you always want to make sure that if they're asking for your social security number, there's a little info box next to it that says something along the lines of, this is being asked, or this number is being asked for verification purposes only. If ever you're unsure, complete the application over the phone and let them know that you do not want to be a personal guarantee. So if you can't find on the application anywhere that's specifically stating they're asking for your social for verification purposes only, then you want to complete the application over the phone just to be sure. When they're asking for verification purposes, it's fine. They're not personally guaranteeing you. They're not pulling your personal credit. They're just using it to verify that you are who you say you are and that you are the owner of the business. So all of those cards that she mentioned, BP Gas card, Sam's Club, Floor and Decor, all of those can be obtained without using your social security card or number.
Okay, wonderful question, Josie, and wonderful answer, Devyn. And another question was, how long would you say it takes to build business credit? And I think they asked, can this be done in 30 days, or how long do you think?
Yes. So business credit can be built in 30 days to 90 days. Those who are aggressive and diligent, I've had clients build business credit within 3 weeks. So if you make sure your profile is structured correctly, you have that business phone, business email, all of those things, the website with the operating hours, and you place your vendor orders on that Thursday and you pay 10 days early, you can generate a business credit score within 2 weeks. And from there, you can kind of just take it and run with it. Start applying for tier 2 cards, which are retail cards. And that can take, that falls in that 30-day period. So it's really dependent upon how aggressive you are in building the business credit. You start today and you follow all the tips, your business credit can be built, within 30 days.
Perfect. And Devyn, what are some of the ways to check business credit and maintain positive trending?
So you can check your business credit on nav.com, nav.com. You can also check your DUNS profile on dnb.com. So any of those business credit bureaus, Experian Business, Equifax Business, and DUNS, all of those can be checked on their specific website. But nav.com is basically like the Credit Karma for your business. So it's going to give you a cumulative business credit report. So you're able to kind of check on all three of those business credit reports and scores.
Perfect. And what are some of the common mistakes that you see people make? Because you work with a lot of people when it comes to actually building their business credit.
Oh, one of the biggest mistakes, and I stress this all the time, is not paying attention to your profile. You got to pay attention to your profile. This is the number one reason for denials. You have to constantly check your business credit scores and your business credit profile on nav.com because you want to make sure that everything is reporting. You want to make sure that it's reporting accurately. You want to make sure that your business information is the same across the board. So if you have a Google business listing and your business name is spelled a certain way, then you want to make sure that on your DUNS profile is spelled that same way. You want to make sure all of the address matches, which means if you have a business address on your website, it should match what's listed in Google. That should match what's on your Facebook page, and et cetera, and so on. So making sure everything matches is crucial. That's one of the biggest mistakes I see being made.
Yeah. And Devyn, like I said, you've been giving us, I'm over here writing notes. I know people are listening or writing notes. And you're really taking us to class with this one. Yes. And I know that, you are doing some amazing things. So let's talk about what you are doing and some of the transformations that you are doing with your clients when it comes to their business credit. So what are some ways your business is assisting business owners with getting started with establishing business credit and maintaining? And if you could discuss your offerings and your process.
Yeah, so I just opened up an office, so that's exciting. I just opened an office. Thank you. So I'm going to be doing some workshops, and it's close to Philadelphia in Claymont, Delaware. So I'm going to start offering some entrepreneurial workshops where we kind of just go over the basics of building business credit. I offer consultations. A lot of my clients, they've already started the process and they kind of just need some confirmation, or, they may have went wrong somewhere and they kind of need to see, okay, why am I getting denied? So I offer that. I offer classes once a month, whether it be Airbnb, Turo, how to get a vehicle, things that are going to help you leverage this business credit once you have it. So those classes that I offer once a month are specifically to teach those that have started the process now how to leverage it, how to build passive income from it. Another thing that I'll be offering the end of March, I'll be offering like a deeper dive, mentorship program for those that kind of want to teach business credit in their community.
Love it. We need more of you.
Thank you.
More copies. And I think the one thing we really stress on Black Tech Business is, like you're doing education. And I think that a lot of times people are, they're scared of not knowing something. So a lot of times they don't go after these things. But I love what you're doing and teaching and educating and just teaching more people how to do what you're doing. And that leads me to, this has been so valuable. So for people who are listening, I want to really touch on the benefits of maybe working with someone like you or outsourcing some things. Like, what are the benefits of doing it with someone like you versus going at it alone?
So one of the benefits, and I do offer a program where I build the business credit for you, my Done For You program. So one of the benefits is you're going to walk away with a seamless business profile and a high business credit score. So not only are you just getting the score, but we're auditing your business profile. We're making sure that, we touch on all of those things that are going to appeal to lenders. So we're not just kind of giving you a score and sending you on your way. I'm assessing your social media pages. I'm telling you, okay, you need to add keywords here. I'm telling you what keywords you'll need to add to appeal to lenders. And we're also, I'm asking you what your goals are. So if I know that your goals are short-term rentals or a vehicle, I'm going to structure your business profile so that when you walk into that car dealership, you're walking away with a car or two cars. So I always like to, when I go over profiles, it's on a case-by-case basis. I'm not kind of just doing the same thing for everybody. I'm like, okay, well, which vendor accounts would be good for this business type and for their goals? So that's one of the benefits.
And yeah, I love that because I always say, like, even when you're doing consulting or anything like that, I really don't believe that one size fits all
Right.
when it comes to business. So I love that you explained that. So for someone who is listening, they are just getting started or they're in their first year of business, when it comes to making sure that they're good in this process or just in general on this entrepreneurial journey, what advice would you give them?
I would say do your due diligence. So even if you come to my page, and you take in all of the information, I always encourage everyone to do their due diligence, double check. You might think you're doing something right. Double check. I'll tell everybody to constantly audit your internet presence. Type in your Google your business, at least once a week, a few times a month, especially before you get to that table with the lenders. You want to make sure, because things pop up, even on our personal credit. Something may pop up and you're like, wait a minute, that's not my business address, or that's another business. They're notorious for getting businesses confused who have similar names. So it's important that you constantly audit your business. Just constantly type in your business in Google, make sure everything is correct. Make sure everything on your social media pages, everything complements each other. What's on your website, what's on your social media. And just take your time. Take your time. Have a plan for the business credit, because we're not just out here just trying to get business credit cards and trying to get cards through our business. We want to have a plan for it. So it's always good to, to kind of think about, okay, I'm in this building process. Now, when I get these cards and I get these funding, what's the plan? What am I going to do with it? How am I going to leverage it? How am I going to scale? How am I going to use it to scale my business?
Love it. And Devyn, in your working with people and entrepreneurs in general, what are some of the transformation stories that you've witnessed with those you work with?
Oh man, I think one of my favorite, and this sticks out, is I consulted with someone maybe 6 months ago, and she had pretty much given up. She was like, this is my last hope. If this doesn't work, I'm just shutting the business down. And then she called me maybe 3 to 4 months later, and she sent me a text like, look, and she got approved for $250,000 in funding.
Wow.
Another girl, her dream was to open up a daycare, and she sent me pictures of her daycare and the ribbon cutting. And it makes me so happy and so proud, because these are women who didn't think it was possible, who who hasn't seen anything like this around them, they just didn't know. They didn't know that they could do it, and they didn't know that they could do it without using their own money, using other people's money. So those are probably the two transformations that stand out. But I get messages every day, like, and sometimes I forget that this is life changing. It's life changing.
Yeah.
It is. So yeah, and I love it. That's what I do it for. Those days where I'm like, I don't want to talk about business credit.
Yeah.
That keeps me going.
I love it. And, imagine the things that these, transformations do for their confidence.
Right.
And, like I said, a lot of people don't do things because of fear of not knowing, but just to say like that moment they did try, like what you were able to do for them is so amazing. I love it.
Yeah, and their transformation does a lot for my confidence. I'm like, okay, transformation, I know what I'm talking about.
Yes, certainly. And, I know that you are a business owner and you're balancing and you have created a thriving business. I'm curious to know, what are some of your favorite tools and resources that have really been helpful for you in your entrepreneurial journey?
I will say, there's so many. So I would say Asana is one of them. It's kind of like a project management program where I'm able to delegate. I'm able to kind of keep track of what I need to do and when I need to do it. Nav.com is probably my favorite because I can kind of go there for a couple different things. If I want to dispute something negative on my business credit report, if I just want to check the scores, if I just want to see what's on there, see what's reporting, that's like my go-to. So those are kind of like and I'm trying to think, and virtual addresses. Opus virtual address is my favorite. They have really good virtual addresses for a lot of our service-based businesses, work from home. We don't really need an office. So Opus is my go-to for virtual addresses. They have amazing spaces. They'll even write you a letter to lenders and letting them know, hey, they rent a space in our building. Because a lot of lenders will say, hey, is this a virtual address? They'll write you a letter stating, that your business rents space from them. So I love them.
Oh, that's amazing. And that's Opus?
Yes, OPUS, Opus.
Okay, we'll be sure to put those in the show notes for everyone who is listening. Yes. Well, this has been amazing. And I know in the midst of the busyness, I want to ask you, what are some ways that you make sure that you practice self-care?
Oh, this is a good one. And I have not always practiced self-care, but just in the last month or so, I realized just how important it was. So my form of self-care isn't always going to the spa. It might just be taking a walk with some headphones on and listening to 90s R&B because, child, I love some Kevin Campbell. So I'll just take a walk or take a drive and just put my R&B on and just clear my head. And a shower. Like, I don't know what it is about a shower, but I'm like, that negative energy, when it creeps up, I'm like, oh, I need to get in the shower. And I just make sure when I have those moments to myself that I'm not thinking about the next thing I need to do. I'm like completely present in the moment and I'm just enjoying the moment.
That's so lovely. Presence. I love that. I love it.
Yeah.
And Devyn, what does it mean to you to be Black in business?
Oh, it means everything because we're still fighting. To be Black, we're still fighting. So to be Black in business, we kind of gotta dot our I's a little bit more and cross our T's a little bit more. But you lift as you climb, and especially as a Black business owner, for that next generation who's watching you, for your younger self, I feel like I owe it to my younger self. Like, girl, come on, like we gonna follow these dreams. So it means everything. You have the next generation watching and you owe it to them. You owe it to them to try. We can't teach our kids, to not give up. If you don't get it the first time, try again. And we're out here playing. So it's something that, I take very seriously, not to just be Black, but to be a Black business owner. You have eyes on you. You're setting the standard. You're letting people know that we can do it. And then once you get to a certain point, now you have a responsibility to lift as you climb.
That is so powerful. You owe it to them to try. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So amazing. I feel it. And people who are listening, they have done like me, gained so much from this conversation. I'm pretty sure they're curious. How can we connect with her? How can they support you? How can they find you? Maybe if they're a business owner, how can they work with you?
Yeah, so everything is on my website, so you can go to bizcreditdevyn.com, BIZ creditdevyn.com. My Instagram page is how everyone usually finds me, which is Business Credit Devyn. Um, I also have a Facebook group if you type in business credit cousins, because I call them my cousins. I'm like, hey cousin. So
Oh, I love that.
so in that group it's kind of like we support each other. Everybody's starting from scratch. Everybody, we're on different levels in the business credit journey. So, everyone in the group, they're helping each other. Hey, I just applied for this card. Let me show you what worked for me. So it's just a good resource. Even if I'm not in there all the time answering questions, everyone's helping each other. So that's another way to kind of contact me.
Love it. Well, Devyn, thank you again for pouring your knowledge. We certainly feel it. We certainly appreciate it. And
Thank you.
just thank you. You're welcome for being on the show. So thank you.
Thank you.
Wasn't that a masterclass? I love how Devyn was so transparent in that once the masses know this information, it will become harder to get these resources for your business. So again, if you want to work on building and establishing your business credit, now is the time to do so. Another important thing to note is to make sure that you have the proper foundation so that you aren't running into issues with the underwriting requirements. Devyn gave so many resources on where to go to check and establish your business credit, so please be sure to check those out at blacktobusiness.com/85 for those full show notes. Thank you so much for listening, and please be sure to share this episode with someone who will also find it valuable. Chat with you next week, same time, same place.